Everybody on the chat tonight for your comments. Well, hello, beekeeper friends. It's good to see everybody back. Things are starting to warm up. It's starting to feel like spring here where we're at finally, and that definitely feels good. Hope everybody's had a good week. We have definitely had a great week. Hadn't really messed in the bees too much, but for a little bit we have. It looks like our colonies are right where we want them to be at. So looking forward to seeing Keith Spillman probably this Sunday. We're going to drop off a couple little colonies at his place, see if we can get them boosted up, and then start some queen rearing for us. So get that process rolling. So they're a little ahead of us, probably about a month, and it will be very nice to get those bees down there. So, but we're really also looking forward to doing some queen rearing. We have a queen rearing group here in Creston, and we're going to be doing a little bit of that with about 4 or 5 people, and hopefully make a lot of queens this year. That's the ideal to help people in this community, is to raise a few queens and help people make splits a little quicker. So if we can do that, that'll be a win for everybody. So I have been noticing a lot of videos with swarms. You guys are lucky. I enjoy that. That's part of beekeeping that I enjoy the most, is catching swarms. I know JW, he's not much on catching swarms. He just likes his bees to grow. So I do think maybe Tom and Melissa have been over that week or this week over his place. So JW, how's things going in your yard?
No, rainy right now. We had 2 inches last night, and I think it's raining for the 7th time today right now. Pouring down. It just comes it's just coming in bands. You know, it'll clear up for a little bit. I actually got through, I had 6 hives that I hadn't been through yet. Kind of getting ready to get them just stuck in some little screen boards and some queen excluders. That's the way I do most of my splitting and get them ready. Just let them make some cells, and I may use a few cells for splitting this year. I haven't decided just what I'm going to do yet. I haven't ordered any queens from any place and don't intend to, so I have to work it out or let the bees work it out for themselves. But it's really been, we had 2 tornadoes in our area yesterday. Nothing.
Oh my goodness.
Real eminently close. 10 Mile was about the closest, but and we got 2 inches of rain last night. So and it's rained. I think, like I said, I think this is the 7th, 8th time it's rained today, and it's pouring down right at the moment. So, hoping the bees are ready to go. All we got is if Mother Nature will give them a break. So,
did Tom and Melissa come over and do some splits at your property, JW?
No, they haven't been here yet. They decided they was going to come, and the weather hadn't been right. There's no use from driving, clear out here and sit and watch the rain all day. Tom Ransbottom came out one day last week and rained all day. We looked at 2 highs before we got rained out. So finally gave up and we went back to the dirty side, I call it. Was there I fear they'd be on here after a while. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they said they'd probably try to jump on a little bit later on. They had a few things to take care of, so we'll enjoy that. Yeah, definitely. So, if you guys in the chat, let us know what your weather's doing in your area. Maybe there's some temperature. Is it raining? Just let us know what's going on. JW, the colonies that you've been in, they looking fairly decent?
Yeah, they're stout. I say that not 100% all of them, but every one of them's. I think Tom's planning on maybe taking some, pulling some frames for some of his nukes that he's building to sell. I think that's what he's got in mind. We haven't really. They've been gone so much, they've been to Colorado, and he was on with the big boys last night, stream team. So I really haven't talked to him that much. So I'm not for sure just exactly what the plans is. I know he's got a couple hundred queens. I think he's saying coming for to make make splits with some of them for I think that club out there that they belong to, and also I don't know 100 or so. I think he's got for planning on trying to make and sell about 100 nukes. I think I'm speaking for him now. I don't. I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's basically what I know.
Yeah.
I don't sell nukes. I have been selling the thunder out of my honey products. Most of the smaller beekeepers around me they've run out, and they're referring, a lot of them referring their customers to me, and my honey products is really going well right now.
That's awesome, JW. I will say Vincent said something about snow. We don't talk about that at this time of year. Mike's talking about freezing rain and snow too. You guys, we can't be talking like this. It's springtime. Let's talk about some spring stuff. So now we definitely know what's going on in Michigan.
I think Mike's way up there in the northern. Oh, it's not the Upper Peninsula, but the northeast corner of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. So he's up for a good ways. So
yes,
I think that's where he's at. And correct me, Mike, if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to pinpoint your location, but I think he's in northeastern Michigan.
Peter says it's snowing there in Colorado. Man, I tell you.
Yeah, no offense, fellas, but you can keep it. I'm sick of it. Actually, it's been a warm rain, so it's not too bad on the beehives. So
right.
All that Gulf air is coming in here, and we're right where the Gulf air meets the colder air. Right here in the southern Midwest, and it's we get a lot of cloudy, rainy days. It's kind of depressing, honestly. Day after day of the clouds, we may go a week at a time and not see the sun.
Right.
I didn't see the sun today. I've got to do every hive, but I've still got to decide what I'm going to do with them horizontals. I'll have to talk to you. Maybe we got a minute after the public. I get your thoughts on them, because I'm going to try to get in them in the morning, and then that'll be my last hive. But I've been in them and fed them all winter, and I know they're stout, and those bees are really calm. It's just a package that I put in there.
Yeah.
Put it in April Fool's Day last year in your hive. So, and it was up to about 26 frames. Yeah. Then I did break them down some there during the middle of the winter when it got pretty cold, and I think I've got 16 or 17 frames in that hive now, and they're pretty well packed in there.
Wow.
So I'm going to probably have to give them some room back, or pull some honey off of them, or see where they are with honey,
Right.
Give them a little more room to lay, or whatever I'm going to do. I haven't been into them that deep, for sure. So that's what I'm thinking.
And Steve Amos is correct. Up here next week, we are supposed to drop back down to freezing, and hopefully we don't get no snow or anything like that. But it is supposed to get back down maybe right around 20 at night for a few days here. So it will probably hurt us a little bit, but that's just part of beekeeping, right? So, and of course, Lee, 86, 40 degree gusts yesterday. So it's always warm down there in Louisiana where he's at. So
we had some 60s and 70 degree gusts yesterday. I mean, it blowed a big time. There is the king of the.
That's the king builder there, JW.
Harriet, that old boy is the king of the honey contest.
Mm.
I can remind you, JW, if you forget. Don't worry.
Well, I'm glad
How
to.
you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, brother.
Yeah, as usual in my night job.
You work more than I do, Philip. I tell you.
Oh well, I don't have to have it to make a living, so I can probably enjoy it more that way.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah. What you squaring out right there? You putting some kind of window or something in there?
No, I'm just using that for a straight edge, but I'm painting them. This is one of my old Texas deeps here. I'm painting a
Okay.
black stripe down the middle. It just lets me know that I can come in and divide it into two nukes.
I got you.
So when I look out in the yard, if I see a black stripe down the middle of it,
Right.
it just means I can divide it. That's
He
what
said
I do.
that, he got his risers, and they're great, by the way.
Who did?
Clay.
Clay? All right, good. Glad, Clay.
Yep.
Hope they work for you.
Paul. Did you see that one, Philip?
What's Paul
What
saying?
Paul
Let me look.
He's got you, Philip. He knows.
I need to start charging Paul to watch.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be smart, wouldn't it? Oh, that's funny.
And no, Paul, we're not giving this away tonight either, okay? So just cool your jets over there.
Yeah. Steve said, Philip, if you are making your own frames, you sure ain't doing it for a living. That's impressive.
That's true. You know what? This year I broke down and bought 100 frames from Dandelions.
Yeah.
So I made 100, but then I needed 100 more, so I bought those. I was like, I don't have time to fool with that right now.
Yeah.
I do have to put them together, but I don't know how to put them together, so I didn't have to do anything.
I don't think I got enough time left in my life to make 100 frames. Not with my little scroll saw, and I don't have the patience for it to boot.
The one thing about my frames that we like better than theirs is made for a plastic foundation, so that groove in the top's real big.
Yeah, I understand.
And I use starter strips, so I make a real thin groove. It takes a whole lot of wax to wax in my starter strip.
Yeah, I'm lazy too. I'm going to use mostly like your foundations. I'm not going to use open frames like y'all do. I had enough of that when I was a kid. That's all we had. And I didn't like it then, and we squeezed it out by hand. So
yeah. Hey, Phil, when you do the starter strips, do you do a whole sheet, starter strip, and then another whole sheet so that they're drawing that comb straight down, or are you just doing starter strips all the way across?
I take a deep sheet of wax that I get from a date ant.
Right.
I bought a couple boxes years ago. I'm still on the ones I bought 4 or 5 years ago. And I just take a straight edge and I cut them into like 3/4 to 1 inch strips.
Right.
All the way across. And then I just take hot wax and kind of glue them in with the hot wax.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay. So you don't really, you just put all 10 that in a colony that way, or you just try to slide one in every once in a while? Is that what you've got in mind? Let them draw it out?
I put them all in.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't have much trouble with cross combing. I have a little
right.
now and then, but it's not as bad as you'd think. I think if I didn't do that starter strip, it'd be real bad.
Sure, absolutely, it would be. Yeah, 100%. I just every once in a while I try to throw in a sheet of foundation, a full sheet in with those strips, and that definitely makes them draw it out a little bit straighter, and doesn't. Sometimes they get them a little bulkier, a little thick as they're drawing those out like that. Sometimes.
Yeah, now I did buy a box of the all plastic frames from from Bill at the Nobby from Bees All Day Bill.
Right.
Shenandoah Bee Supply. I guess I did buy a box of those from him. I tried to buy 2, but he just sold out or loaded up his truck at that moment.
Yeah.
But, somebody gave me 10 of those last year, and I put them in during the dearth, and the bees jumped all over them. So they're real good.
Steve does have a pretty good point here, Philip. He says, Philip, bees are more your bees are more disciplined than mine. All they know is wonky comb with starter strips.
I hear a lot of people say that, but I've had a lot of luck with it.
I've had pretty good success with it too. I really think it makes a big difference you getting your colony level. It's got to be pretty level for that. So
I'll tell you what, these things I'm working on here, this Texas bee, I went and bought those little bubble levels that you can get off Amazon.
Yep.
And I put one on the top of this handle every time I put a box out, because if this gets a little bit out of level, that comb is so long,
I'll
go from one comb over to the top of one down to the bottom of another one, and then you got a big mess.
Yes, you're right about that, 100%.
But yeah, it's really critical with these extra deep things. I would imagine it's the same for things like lay-ins and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then
you're supposed to set those boxes on level ground, then you wouldn't have to do that kind of stuff.
We do have pretty flat ground, but I can manage to get them out of level. Ricky don't have level ground where he is.
No, it's definitely no level ground here. It's just all uphill.
Yeah.
JW, have you ever tried starter strips, or you just always straight foundation?
Yeah, I've used a few starter strips. I honestly had the best luck. My dad taught me this was just cutting little V's. And actually glue them to the top of the frame. Just a standard frame. Just cut a little, about maybe a 3/8 triangle. The length of it. They started on it better than wax that pretty good. They seem to started on it better, and they do the little cut strips of foundation at the top. So I'm just telling you I don't do very much of it anymore, because I do have a question for the chat group.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'm making double screen boards, and I just cut pieces of plywood and put holes in them. I don't make the full screens, and I've got some. I'm taking the survey is what people think. I'm making some. I'm going to make some out of some. I've got some 1/2-inch scrap I'd like to use. I know that's probably marginal, but I'm going to see what people think, if it'll work or not. And I've actually got a couple pieces cut, but I'm about to back out on them. It's 3/8 thick. A little old honeybees proboscis, or where their tongue, whatever you want to call it, it's supposed to be 0.26 hundredths of an inch. So if that being the case, they can definitely reach one another on the 3/8 and a 1/2-inch. I've always used 3/4 in the past, and once in a while some 5/8. But I would just wonder what people were thinking if they thought I could get by with a 1/2-inch, because I've got a bunch of 1/2-inch plywood that I'm wanting to use up. So that's the reason.
I'm going to say yes, but I haven't done that. The ones I did with 1/2-inch, I put an extra little piece of Luan on it.
Well, I thought about doing that too. But making a shim around it on one side, at least, making a shim, maybe on the bottom.
But I was told that the 1/2-inch was fine, so I was going to make them at a 1/2-inch, but I happened to be at Home Depot, and they had a piece of 5/8 that was on the markdown rack.
Yeah.
So I grabbed that, and I was able to get 15 out of it.
If I make full screen ones, which I'm about getting too lazy to do that, I used all 3/4, and then I've got some 5/8. I use 90%. I do all of my splits. I do with double screen boards. So I use it like enthusiastically. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I've got pieces cut to build another 8, but I built 7 of them. I'll go get one in a second, show it to you. But I'll build a frame around mine. But let me go grab one and I'll show it to you.
Let's see. What is James saying here? Ooh, that's not good. It's interesting. Yeah, I think 1/2 inch is fine, JW. I don't see that being a problem. I think you'll be all right with that. So,
Well, if I've got that 3/8 stuff, I can still rip it up for shims. You know, that's
exactly.
what
Yeah.
I use 3/8 thick stuff for shims. That's the reason I got that 3/8, but I got a bunch of it. And I'll never use all of it. I'm gonna get into the stage in life. I'm worried about my feed supplies outliving me.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, JW.
Yeah.
Not too soon. All right, this is mine.
Okay.
I put 4 holes in it because I want it to double as a moving screen, so I can put it right on top of a hive.
Yeah, got you.
And strap it down and use it, and it gives you a lot of ventilation.
Sure.
And it's a piece of 5/8, but it's in a 1.5 inch frame. So there's a 1/8 inch on the bottom, and there's 3/4 on the top. And then I cut holes. I put my center divider. You know how I like to divide everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done something. That's the way I did it 2 years ago. But I decided that, say I've got swarm cells, rather than having these two right here kind of close together, I usually paint one of these a different color. I decided to go ahead and add another hole onto the side. See where it's 6 inches back from the front edge there.
Mm-hmm.
So I might plug one of these with some grass or something and have one of them come out the front and one come out the side if that side's open on the hive.
Got you.
I did that on both sides.
That's a good looking piece of equipment, but that's
it is a very good piece of
I can't
equipment.
build it with a hand axe. I'm not the best technician. My dad was a carpenter, believe it or not, but I never did like it. So I build a lot of my stuff out of necessity. I'm not quite as helpless as I look like I am sometimes, but I'm not the best woodworking woodworker in the world. I can tell you that for sure.
I enjoy it though. It's not all just to save money. So,
I've been
you do anything?
put out a couple of little shorts with my best friend today. I spent some time with one of my best. I've got 3 or 4 really close friends, and I did a video today on one of them. People's going to be amazed, I guess, to say the least.
When you gonna post it?
It's posted on both YouTube and the shorts.
I'll go look at it.
Showed you some. I've been trying to kind of keep it a secret because but I had to let the secret out today. So he's. I was a little aggravated at him. He didn't clean up very good for his debut on the boob tube. But I guess we'll both get over it. He wasn't dressed up too good. Matthews putting the word out on me.
Yep. Him and Alicia, I think, are. So I'm like Peter and even like Philip. Woodworking and beekeeping is kind of goes hand in hand for me. I really like to do both of them, and there's just so many little things you can build if you get some time, and you kind of get in the shop and kind of get your mind off of other stuff, and it's definitely a lot of fun for me.
To it gets me in a little bit of trouble though, because I try to outsmart the bees with the woodworking, and it usually don't work that great.
Yeah.
They definitely reject some of my ideas. There's no doubt about that, Philip. So
I did. There's a video on it too. I did mini mating nets, and I thought it was a great idea because I had the mini. I made the mini frames fit inside of a standard deep frame. Okay, so
Yeah.
I could just put some screws in the top and just let them sit in the middle of it. And the idea was I'd take them out of the minis and I'd stick them in the deep frame and I would convert them. Oh,
right.
well, the thing is, there's enough space, top and bottom. When you put them in that mini, they put so much comb outside that frame, and you try to take it out, and it's a huge mess.
Yep.
So that didn't work
I think
out.
I built a deep box one time and left too much space between the two boxes, and ripping that apart and all that honey dripping down. That was not a fun situation. So you learn really quick what not to do when you're building stuff.
Yeah, I carried one of those minis double through the winter. And I went back out to harvest the frames out. And go,
Right.
Man, it was just a massive mess. All that extra comb that they built in there. Yeah, I don't do those anymore.
Yep.
Only way I'll ever do minis again is if I ever become a queen breeder. Then I would probably do them.
Yeah.
You should have been around here, Tom. The sirens blew all night here. One siren after another, tornado warnings going through.
And is that common for where you're at, JW, to get that many tornadoes and stuff?
Actually, they call this Tornado Alley, right
It is part of it. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
A little average. Unfortunately, the last few years we hadn't had anything. Oh, I don't know. The last time I had a little damage, and I was right at the edge of it. It was this is 25. I'm gonna say it was 7. I think 17. We had two real close ones. I've not had a, knock on wood, thank you Jesus, not had a direct hit, at any of my farm premises, but had some awfully close, within a mile or two on 2 or 3 occasions. So
wow. So was you able to see those as they come by, JW?
Yeah, you could see them. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I picked up the last one that was close to me. I picked up 3 hay rack wagons, flatbed wagons, pull with a tractor, full of neighbors' buildings and tin and roofing and a little bit of everything out of my fields, So they're, you can see it you can see the big sheets of metal and stuff flying through the air, if you're within sight of them, they're twisting around and just like a piece of, you've seen the little we call them dust devils, the little miniature, flying around. Well, it's the same thing. They'll pick up. Oh, I've seen whole sides of buildings twisting around up in the air, going through.
With the little dirt devils?
Sir? No, not from the dirt devils, but for a true, there's different strengths of tornadoes too. You get an EF5 or something, you'll see a lot of big stuff in them. So we don't usually get, like the places there's places out there in the Oklahoma Panhandle, and actually that's a little north of where I think where Phil is down there in North Texas, but it's Panhandle of Texas and then Oklahoma's. Yeah, southern Kansas across there. We've got a lot of big time F5s, F4s, F3s. My mama, she just panicked, scared to death of them. So she wouldn't live in a place where you didn't have a storm shelter underneath the ground. She always had to have one. So,
do you have a room you can go to?
I can't tell what you're saying, Philip.
Like, do you have a room you can go to?
Have a what?
A room, safe room, something that's
A safe room, a basement, or something you can go into.
No, my mother always said you always wanted to have a shovel handy.
Oh,
So you could dig your hole, crawl in the hole, and pull a hole in after you. That way you'd be safe. So I just carry a shovel with me, have a shovel handy where I could dig a hole real quick and crawl in it and pull a hole in after me.
JW, you do that, and Tom and Melissa be around. They'll just put a tombstone up after it goes by.
Well, I shouldn't bring that subject up, but I've already got one, Rick, and it's set. Got everything on it, but the last date has to be determined.
Right.
Hey, you're still in that. You're still in that little dash.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the dash. That's right.
Yeah.
You're still in that dash.
Yeah.
That's a good place to be, in that little dash right there.
Yeah. It is what it is. You just live till you go on. So some of us are more fortunate than others. I've lived a lot longer now than I ever expected to. So
looks like a lot of people in the chats had tornadoes kind of in their area or around them. So that's pretty interesting.
I had one, it was a 1 or 2 went through about 10 miles to the north of me, and one went through about 16 miles to the south of me last night. But the sirens blowed about all night off and on here. You can hear those doggone tornado sirens, for miles.
Right. Now, JW, when that happens, does your bees act up or act any different than normal, or?
Well, bees, I'm a firm believer that bees know when there's going to be especially a low or storm front coming through, because my bees, even this morning, it was pretty and clear, but they knew there was, this low was pushing through the area. They was a little more feisty than normal. I got stung, I don't know, 6 or 8 times on the hands, but I never wear gloves and stuff anyway, so I'm used to getting stung, so no big deal. I'm not advocating that. I'm just telling you that's the way I do it,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what Lee's saying. The pressure changes. They can really feel that pressure change and know that they better be getting back. So
yep. When they know when the weather's changing, it's not the best time in the world to work bee. But it was a beautiful morning here. It dead quiet and the sunshine till about 10 o'clock, and then them bands started coming through again, and it rained for about an hour and then quit an hour and a half. We get another strain coming through, so it's just,
right.
Hopefully the worst of that front's, I think it's all out your way, for now, Rick.
Yeah.
It's in that country.
Yeah, it's kind of hanging in the central Tennessee, and it's kind of not moving right now. It's kind of just locked in, and we're getting a lot of moisture pulled up from it. And we're a little bit like you. It's kind of overriding some cool air. So
that's a good thought. Actually, I had the donk a long time before I knew Tom, so I'm going to have to stick with. I'm gonna have to stick with. I can't change his name to Tom. I'd be good thought though, Randy. It fit. I'd have to name him short story longer if I named him after Tom. That's why I started calling him here lately.
You wouldn't be able to keep him fed. Tom.
Oh. Did you see that right there, JW, talking about taking up with a diller or a tiller and up the ground? They don't like that very much.
Yeah. I don't have any trouble with you talk about bees. People talk about vibration with their tiller digging or.
Yeah.
I don't have trouble. I mow right up against my hives, and I got all my hives on stands, and I've got them all on rubber pads I put
Mhm.
four. I don't know if people watch any of my little old short videos. I don't put out many how-to bee videos, but I do a little bit about my, things around my beehives and how I keep my bees and so forth. And I keep them on 4x4. I get rubber matting,
Yeah.
layer matting for the coal mines. You'd probably might have. You got any coal mines around you?
No, they're all north of me.
Hmm.
We've got to drive probably a good hour and a half away from us. We'll
Okay.
actually end up in Virginia before we can see any of the
Yeah,
coal mines.
get up in West Virginia in that area. I knew there were several coal mines out in some of that country. I didn't know just where they would be from you, but I get that. I buy those conveyor belts, those big conveyors. You've probably
Yep.
been buying, seeing them belts
Yep.
wear out bad and they replace them. I get that
Yeah.
belting and I cut it up in four. That belting, most of it's 4 foot across, and I cut it in cut 4 foot strips off of it and
Yeah.
make pads to set on my beehives on.
Let's see that, Philip.
Yeah. Well, that looks all right, but I think I laid it on its side too quick.
I'm going
I
around.
have to do my stripe at the bottom there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got a little horizontal
You're
action
doing,
going.
you're doing way too much painting for my world. I hate to paint.
let's see it again
I
there,
like
Philip.
to
I
get
got you
high
on.
because I hate to paint so badly.
I got on the bigger one.
Yeah, I finally got you on the bigger one. There you go.
Yeah, that's that one. And that's what happened on that side. We got a little bit on that side too. A little bit of.
Yeah.
Oop, I got my finger in the middle of it. That's gonna be nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. You can see it, but it's dripping on
Hey,
both
Northern
sides.
Russell, how are you, buddy?
Bees don't care though. That's what Bob Benny said.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'll go
that's
get
right.
another box and bring it back. I got 3 more to go. It's not this big. I guess got deeps to do now.
Peter Morrison's got a question for you, JW. Does those pads make the colonies hot?
No, I don't think so. I don't put them. I mean, they're just underneath them, and they're most of them's got some aware to them where they've got like a car tire. They've got a matting in them,
Yeah.
and some of them will be white and places. They're just not like new slick rubber, but it don't seem to make any difference. I don't, Pete. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it does not enough to matter. It beats having to weed eat underneath your hives all the time, which I'm in a growth area. We're in the farm country, so every weed known to man grows here. So if you don't keep trimmed up around them, you're gonna have horse weeds that's 10 foot tall around your beehives. So
Yeah.
I keep everything mowed pretty tightly.
Yep. And I lay down a big roll of shingles, the big roll of shingles. It's about
Yeah.
3 foot wide, and I roll that down. And just
Yeah.
like you say, just not to have to mow underneath the colonies, it definitely helps out. So.
Yeah.
I do want to again give Keith Spillman a shout out tonight for letting me bring a couple colonies down his place on Sunday. That way I can get some of my colonies beefed up pretty good and get them ready to do some queen rearing. So, Keith, I do appreciate that. And I hope to see you about, 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning, hopefully, and set a few bees up. So thank you, sir.
How far are you guys apart from one another, Rick?
We're about an hour and 10 or 20 minutes.
Oh,
It's not
well,
that.
that's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah. We drop
You
probably a good 1,500 feet in elevation, though.
Yeah.
So,
Well, only one way. I mean,
yeah.
you only have to drive harder one way. You're going downhill.
Right.
Won't be. You're surely going downhill to his place. It'll be a longer drive coming home. So it'll be uphill.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. I hate to do it on a Sunday morning, but I should be able to get down there and get back for part of church service. So, but I tell you what, I'm still running around like a crazy man up here. So it's been really tough. So yeah, and Keith's got a lot of drones flying around down there also. That was the big thing. I keep asking, you got some drones flying? And he's like, yeah, we got some drones out right now. So that's great.
You know, I've been through every hive and I haven't seen a walking drone yet. I've got some purple-eyed pupas, you know, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen, and I haven't seen any mites in any of my, you know, where you break frames apart usually, you know,
Mhm.
there's some drone brood in them where you tear them that drone stuff apart. No, I haven't seen any mites in them. Thank you, Jesus. But
Yeah.
uh,
Well, it's definitely a good place to see. If you start seeing a lot of mites in that drone brood, you may need to end up treating. You know, if you see too much. So they definitely like to lay there.
don't
So
you get your hopes up on that help from other beekeepers there, Matthew. You're in our territory, you know.
yeah, it sounds like he's wanting you to come over, JW, and do some work.
Well, I'd be more than happy to. He's been out here trying to help me, but the I tell you what he done. I told him and Tom Sossman they worked bees April Fool's Day, April the
Uh huh.
1st. I said, any of the old timers in the bee business knows that you never work bees on April the 1st. You'll make them bee gods mad, and ever since they've done that, it's rained or done all kinds of crazy stuff, and it's all because of Matt Ramsbottom and Tom Sossman. I want the public to know that they're the cause for all this bad weather.
Yeah.
They've upset the bee gods. And I'm telling you, you can't do that. You know, for God's sakes, not to work honeybees on April the 1st of all things.
They had,
Yeah.
I
Just
thought they were smarter than that, but they're just these young guys. They don't know all these old wives' tales, see, so they
yeah.
don't know how to handle that.
But it's like Clay Bumgarner says there. I had a drone land on my shoulder. I told him he wasn't my type. You know, so makes good
Well,
sense.
I'd like to start seeing a few here, Clay. I'd be happy to welcome them.
So, Philip Dennis wants to know what the temperature is there right now.
I think it's right around 60.
Right around 60.
That was kind of our high today. It was right in there, 60, below 60. But
And I've got 53 right now, and it's pouring heavy rain.
Mm.
it was supposed to rain all day today, but it didn't. It didn't rain at all. It was cloudy. But they're saying it's going to rain all day tomorrow now. But
And Saturday.
I accept the bee gods too, JW. When was April Fool's?
Yeah. Well, you guys are gonna have to learn not to mess with them, especially on April Fool's Day.
We were only supposed to have like 2 days of decent weather, so we felt like we had to get out in them. I did splits on Tuesday.
Wow.
That's kind of like wearing red on St. Patrick's Day. These
Yeah,
old
when I go back
timers
into
know
it,
all that stuff. You don't do anything that go against the leprechauns or the bee gods. You just don't do it.
Yeah.
So my plan is I split maybe every colony I got here at the house, which is only 8, but I took the queen out and I'm letting them make their own another queen, but in 3 of the colonies that I like the genetics of, I'm going to go in and harvest all those things and make kind of splits out of those 2-frame split and see what I
So
can get.
when you split them, Philip, did you just split them 2 ways, or did you split them 3 ways? How'd you end up going about that?
I just split them 2 ways, and I did a couple of different things. I put the queen in another box. They were double deeps, but they weren't. I just put the other deeps on them like a week or 2 ago. So they had just
Mm-hmm.
they grown out a good bit in a week because they are on the float here. But I just went through and then we sorted the frames out, and anything that was open, which was really nothing because they were either had nectar in it or it had an egg in it. But if it had cap brood or an open cell, we were giving it to the queen, and with like 1 or 2 frames of food. And then everything was open. We left with the mother hive, and we turned the queen around the other way. We used I don't think we used any double string boards. We used some bottom board, and I just put a piece of plywood over the top of the hive, and then put another bottom board on that, and turned it around, and put the queen in that.
You just completely separated on top of one another.
Yep.
Yeah,
Actually, like stacking the hive with the bottom board on it. I guess that would work. I've never done it.
kind of like a club board would do, you know. So that's what we did, and we're gonna go there. And in some cases, we put the queen in the bottom, but in every case, we made sure the queen was turned opposite, so all the foragers are coming back to give us better sales.
Yeah.
Right.
I do that even with my double screens, you know, I'll put my openings the opposite direction, but I've never actually put a bottom board above another hive, stacked another hive, just complete hive on top of one another.
I think my favorite beekeeping tool is a 3/8" sheet of plywood cut 16 1/4 inches wide and 19 7/8 inches long. You can use that for all kind of stuff. You can make a top out of that.
Yep.
If you're in a bind, you can stick that under a deep and prop up on a stick and make a bottom board out of it if you just have to. But when I'm harvesting honey, I'll put one of them above on the bottom of my stack and on the top of my stack. There's all kinds of uses for that plywood. And they're not.
I use a lot of them that way too.
They warp a little bit, but you can usually get some bricks and take care of that.
Guys, it's like you and I, but Rob just goes around his construction site and robs all those construction, what you call them, canisters, or with your throwaway jelly.
It's like I work for.
I get a lot of my.
I work for GE Aviation, the airplanes and stuff, and they're all times throwing away 2x4s and plyboard and stuff, and we can just go out there and get it and bring it home. I mean, that's awesome when you can be able to do stuff like that. You can make a lot of stuff.
Well, I'm kind of in oil field country, and there's several supply houses where they ship that stuff in here, oil field stuff, and on pallets or heavy made, get a lot of 2x4s or 4x4s and stuff like that. There's one of them here in town. They just set it out for the taking. If you're first come first serve, and I hear it about it. I'm the local scrounger. I hear it about every morning. See if they do. They put out, the evening before. I want to be the first one there to get it.
Yep. If I had Philip around, I tell you what, he'd be nonstop building stuff because I have enough stuff to keep him busy for a year, I'd say.
That's what I was trying to say, Steve. In my senior moment, I couldn't come up with dumpsters.
Dumpsters.
I'm a dumpster diver.
Dumpster diver, yep.
Yeah. That's his own theme song. It goes something like this.
Hey, Mr. Nay, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm coming to join you, Elizabeth.
Yep. That was always such a good show, man. I used to love that show.
Yeah. He was quite the character, old Red Fox, wasn't he?
Yep.
And
No
Lamar. That was quite the deal. Al Bundy's still one of my heroes. People probably, some people didn't think it was too funny, but I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, I think that guy was really funny.
Yeah, Tom, we still do make a lot of the old legacy plane engines and stuff, and they just keep flying. So we keep building them there. So I did get to go down to Durham, North Carolina, and actually see the engines put completely together. We actually make the center component of the engine, so it has the most heat of the engine. It's where the intake with fuel goes in. That is the part us hillbillies make up here in the mountains of North Carolina. So why they let us do it, I don't know. Maybe it's they can say, well, they don't know what they're doing there, but we do make all those parts, which is pretty cool for me. And to get to see it all put together into an airplane engine was pretty impressive. Got to do that on last Friday. If they let me have taken some pictures, I'd show you some of them. But of course, they don't let us take any pictures while we're in there. So.
Yeah.
All of that NASCARs from those women shiners making faster cars. So, yeah, I think that fits right in with making parts for airplanes.
Yep. If you ever see the swirl on the engine, just right where the fans are at, if you ever see the swirl, that is a GE engine, and that's probably made it's either made up here in West Jefferson, North Carolina, or Wilmington, North Carolina. I think there is actually a place in Ohio, and maybe one other place, but that's pretty cool that North Carolina has so many aviation facilities. We were first in flight, even though I guess those guys actually did come from Ohio. So we'll give them a little bit of credit up there. So
I used to do a lot of vacation there around Wilmington, Rick, back in the 60s. Little place called Camp Lejeune.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know that place.
I vacationed there off and on for 4 or 5 years, 6 or 7 years actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
that's all right. That I think that facility is really close to Camp Lejeune anyway. It's actually got a nuclear facility there at our facility down there that makes airplane engines. So pretty close to where you was at down there, JW.
It's been a day or two since I've been back here. I spent a lot of time there at one time, off and on. I was there 4 different times, tour, in and out.
Y'all might be about to get busy there, Ricky, with all the tariffs and stuff.
I think we're going to get very busy. Actually, they just added 12 point. They're going to extend our building out, and they're going to let us have $12.4 million to do a little expansion. So, I think we are going to pick up quite a bit. And then the new fighter jet that's coming out, I'm hoping we'll get some of those parts, but we do make some of the F-34 parts at our facility. So, it'd be pretty cool to get some of those new fighter jets also. Let's see, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Seafood. Yeah. Some station down there at Camp Lejeune, Randy, there was a little mom and pop joint down there on one of the bays, and I'd stick down there. It's the best seafood. Dad'd go out and catch her, and Mom would serve it, customers of the evening. If you wanted good seafood, that's the best seafood I've ever had.
Yep.
They really put out some good stuff down there.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I go to the beach, I'm always eating seafood. I mean, it's just, it's fresh. It's like if you come up here to, where I live at, if you want trout, of course, we got fresh trout up here. So it's just what you eat when you're in that area. So. Philip, how many boxes are you going to do tonight? I mean, what's your idea? How many are you working on?
It's 5.
It's 5.
I got this one and 2 more.
Now, Tom, when you say Maine has the best seafood, are you talking about like crab legs and stuff, or are you just talking overall?
Well, he's talking lobster probably mostly.
Oh, yeah.
Maine is noted for lobster.
Yeah, Keith, they ship those down on I think that most of the time they come down 221 and 420. 421 is most time when they are shipping them down and sending them to Durham to have our parts put in the engine. It was pretty cool. I will tell you one thing I thought was just unbelievably cool is we make 3 different components. We make a spool component, which is the center of the engine. Then we make a compressor that goes on the end of our spool. And then we have a blisk part that kind of fits on the back of that. And the way they put those pieces together is you actually chill that thing down to 200 degrees Celsius, one part, and it snaps into the other one. And then when it heats back up, then they're together. They're not welded, they're just snap together. And that's how those parts are held together. So it's like, really? In the middle of that engine, spinning around at that many RPMs, and they're just snapped together. That's pretty cool. So. I missed some of that.
Hell, Paul, I hate to call you out, but I don't eat that stuff down there in Louisiana. It's got too much of that. I don't trust you Cajuns down there. Cajuns for 2 ounces, but you'll have to throw in some skunk tails and all that kind of stuff.
There's a place down in Louisiana. I think it's between Baton Rouge and New Orleans called Manchacs, right on the Manchac Bayou, and that's about as good as catfish you'll ever put in your mouth.
Oh man, I like some good catfish now. You guys are making me hungry tonight. I tell you, when I start talking about bees, this food stuff, I'm gonna be fat as a cow.
I'm stirring up arguments amongst these guys about what the best seafood is. I'll tell them a little secret one of these days. I won't put it out in public about seafood. In private. When I see you next time, Paul, we'll talk in private about seafood.
Yeah.
I won't put it out on the air. I don't want to make you mad, hurt people's feelings, and all that kind of stuff.
What did Lee put down? What did he say?
Oh, that's some kind of a. He's about 3/4 of that. He's 3/4 coon-ass, I think. Anyway, Quinby is. No Dorson, Manchac, bad hack, or whatever. I don't know.
Don't be talking about my cousin Lee like that now.
I'll tell you what.
I think Paul has the best idea, JW. Just look at that. Don't ask what it is. Just eat it. It tastes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't eat. I'm eat about anything, but I guess, but I don't trust you. Trust you, coon asses down there.
Yeah.
Calabash are hard to beat. We got them going now. Everybody likes different stuff.
Yeah. Well, we're moving over into the bass and crappie now. I do like some smallmouth and definitely like some crappie. That's some good stuff.
I like crappie too.
There we are. I did pretty good on that one.
That looks really good, Philip. Let me see if I can get that a little bit bigger here. Hold just a second. I'm not as good as Lee about this stuff, I tell you. There we go. Oh yeah.
That looks really good. All the time. I hope it'll hold up for 2 more. It usually only goes 3 or 4 before it starts running everywhere.
Run a little bit, yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to.
We're gonna get Lee off that overtime stuff, man. We got to have him back.
I don't think he's working right now. I may be wrong, unless he went back in the last day or 2. I don't think he's. I think he's got his. I think he's worried more about going hiking than he is.
Oh, I got you.
Now, I may be wrong. I haven't talked to him personally, just going by his comments. But I talked to him one day last week on the phone. He called me, but he wasn't working. He's off. I finished. I thought he was. Yeah.
I could have put him to work and didn't even know it. Look at that, JW. Let that boy off, man. You let him off for a month, and then he just takes off all the time. What do you do with him?
Well, he's
Well, Lee, how is your bees doing down there then? They doing pretty good?
Hey, Carl. Yeah, I'm making them all mad. I'm going to insult everybody on here.
JW, did you ever hear about them two Louisiana boys who went up to New York, and one of them went into the employment office and got himself a job, and he comes back and tells his buddy, he said, "Yeah, I got me a job, starting pay, $120,000 a year." And his old boy said, "Oh, I'm gonna go get me one of them jobs."
Yeah.
He went into the unemployment office and talked to the lady. He said, "Well, what do you do?" He said, he said, "I chop wood." He said, "Oh boy, we've been really needing somebody like that." She said, "I can probably get you a job making $20 an hour starting tomorrow." He said, "What do you mean? My buddy come in here and he got a job making $120,000 a year." And she said, "Well, your friend's a pilot." He said, "But I got to chop it before he can pilot."
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Looks like Lee says he's got had a lot of rain. He's kind of like you, JW. You guys have been getting a lot of rain here lately.
Well, we're forecasting to catch between yesterday and through Sunday. We're forecasted to get from 8 to 10 inches through here.
Ooh,
I know we've already had over 2 last night. I dumped the gauge this morning. There was a little over 2 inches in it from last night. And most of that rain, I don't know how accurate that was, because most of that rain last night was coming down sideways. It was blowing so hard, and we was getting 50, 60, 70 mile an hour gust wind through here. That was straight line stuff. That wasn't twisting stuff.
It's hard on the bees when it's really heavy like that. I mean, they still get out and flying around, but you know,
mine's my stuff. I've got ratchet straps on all my stuff.
I tell you, really, I usually don't use many ratchet straps, but these nukes that I built, I'm gonna have to do something different because it tends to knock them over quite easily when it gets windy. So
I make all those high stands that I have on out of pressure treated stuff, and it's I cut 2 baits in half, for the legs and stuff. So they're pretty heavy.
Right.
You get them and a full box of bees. So I've not had one blowing over for a long period of time. So there are more we could use. I wish you had some of ours. We've got some to spare. We could spare. I can tell you right now. But I may be in the same shape you are about the 4th of July. It's just usually it rains here during the farming season, and when it turns off, it quits. It just dries up to nothing.
Our spring's not been too rainy, and most of the rains we've been getting is during the night. So I've been enjoying that. I mean, that's the way I like it. Rain at night and sun out during the day. That's awesome. Definitely helps the bees out because it's they get to work out and come in and then let it rain. So what's your plans for this week, JW? You gonna be in your bees any this week?
I hope I'm done for the week. Depends on what Tom and Melissa decide to do. As to whether we get back in them or not. I'll have to go back in some of my earlier stuff. I'll have to go check for with some of my splits. I'll have to check for. They'll be a week old. I split some of them. Be a week old tomorrow.
Wow.
So sometime over the weekend, I'll have to get in those others, check those ones. I didn't even look at them. I just split them. Some of my double deeps, I just split them with a double screen board. I'll go in and see where the swarm cells are or aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got to get back in them in the next 2 or 3 days at least. But the others, I just split. Some in my main production yard, I just split the last bunch of them today. So, and I've got to do. I want to go through your horizontal. Like I said, go through your horizontal hive tomorrow. But I've basically got everything that's splittable. I've got either double screens or queen excluders on, and got them separated. And I've still got that little old nuke hive that I've mentioned. I think that I had 2 weak hives, real weak hives coming out of winter, and the queens were still in them. They're both just a handful of bees, and I put them 2 little weak hives in one 5-frame deep nuke box with the individual queens. And I was in them last week, and them 2 queens are still alive, and they're bringing in pollen, and I've got to transfer them. I got to get into that one the next 2 or 3 days and get them into a bigger box. they've got her tanked out, and both queens are still alive. They may not be now, but they was as of the past weekend. So.
That's pretty cool, JW. That
I
you
don't
got
know. I just did it. I thought they was going to die anyway, and I thought I'd just stick them together and see how long they made it. So I figured one of them would survive, or they both. I actually figured probably both of them would die, and the hive would die out. I'd have to scatter them out or something.
right.
I started to do that, just scatter them out on the ground and let the queens go. But I thought I was in one of my how-to moments, so I just stuck them together, see what would happen. So,
Right.
So I went into my bees here. I guess it was last Thursday, and I was just kind of checking on, and all of a sudden I looked and there was a honey nectar in there.
I don't know about everybody else, Philip. I could barely hear you tonight.
Let me get over here close.
Yeah.
I went into my bees last Thursday and opened it up and saw a bunch of white wax. They were just about to get honey bound. So I went and grabbed a bunch of deeps, and all I had was foundation, or the foundation list, the starter strip.
Yeah.
And then went in Tuesday and we made the splits. So the plan was to go out to Crossroads, which is only like 20 miles as the bee flies from me, or maybe even shorter than that. And Noah said, "Are you going to take any food?" And I was like, "Oh, they won't need any food. You see what's happening with ours." I got out there and wished I'd brought food, because them bees, they were growing, but they weren't putting anything on. They were light. Yeah, I was. Yeah, so don't ever assume, I guess, that it's all the same. But
I thought little fondant in some hives I was into this morning. They were. I didn't go into them deep, but they had cleaned up all the fondant that I'd put in there. Probably 12 days ago. I'd have to look at my calendar. I write everything down. I can't remember what I'd done an hour ago. So, but it's Matthew, come on here. I want to question you a little bit about some of your splitting.
Oh boy, yeah, come on here, Matt.
Maybe we can see if I can get him on here. He may be in the house. He may be. His boss may have him under lock and key.
Yeah. She was on here just a few minutes ago, so. Our colonies are brooding up fairly decent right now, so I'm getting kind of excited, but they just don't have no resources. They're just so low on resources.
Yeah.
Not much pollen, not hardly any honey. So
Oh,
it's
we're
just
loaded. I mean, with I've got thousands of acres of dead nettle, henbit, whatever you want to call it, and about all of our trees, are earlier trees, the maples and the cherries and stuff like that is loading up. He's available. I made him a batch of brownies. Well, get out of the brownies and Alicia.
There's a
Shut him off on those brownies and save him for me. You're going to save him for house guest.
there's something coming into mind that's completely clear. It looks like Karo syrup or something.
Wow.
But it's I think it's probably this. I call it wax leaf ligustrum, but I heard Bob today calling it Japanese privet. It's that real waxy leaf. It's got the white bunches of flowers that get completely covered. I think that's probably what it is, because those are really blooming around here.
I've got my pollen in my hives. I've got every color in the rainbow. I've got pink, I've got orange, I've got yellow, I've got gray, I've got kind of a light greenish gray.
I know you got red if you got all that dead nettle. I got a bunch of that in mine.
Well, it's kind of pink in my.
All right, let me go get the last box.
It just looks like they're really, really pretty. My pollen, packed. There's some almost packed up, almost honey and pollen bound. So I've got to do some, pull a bunch of stuff and add some. I've got a bunch of drawn combs, so I'm in good shape for tearing stuff down and giving them some more room. I just haven't got to it yet. I've been doing a little procrastination. You know anything about procrastination?
Nothing. That's a bad word there, JW.
Yeah, I'm getting awful good at procrastinating when it comes to beehives. I want to get some stuff done so I can start doing a little fishing. I haven't done any fishing, but I don't get too excited about crappie fishing during the spawn. I've crappie fish year round, but I don't like to fight the crowds.
Right.
When it's spawning there, the boat don't ever post you come to about.
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying the fishing and stuff, but usually if our first day of fishing season is this coming Saturday, and it's always cold and the rivers are always iced over. This will be the first, I think, trout season up here that's been warm. So it's just totally different for us.
Are you about to get your infrastructure halfway straightened out up there where you can kind of get around?
We do have it. It is functional right now to where we can work, and I'm in the middle of finishing or working on our new building. So I'm laying a concrete pad for our patio for the wife, like Dave's talking about. The wife won't let me procrastinate. And then we kind of got a lot of firewood. So now I'm on that project, but I've got to get back to getting my building, our official building fixed so that I can really start building these hives and be more proficient at it. Or efficient at it, I might say. So there he is.
Hey, now how's it going?
It's going good, brother. How you doing?
Pretty good, Ricky. JW, Philip, how you doing?
Good, Matt. How are you?
Oh, doing good. You're making us all look bad, working all into the wee hours of the evening with all this wooden work going on, stenciling, and tell you what.
Like Paul says, I think he just does it when the video camera's on him. So
The only time I'm working on it.
I saw Randy and Steve talking about that branding iron. I'd sure be interested in some of that. That would be awesome.
You better
I will say Greg Burns had a Brandon Iron. I can't remember where he got it at. He sent me the link for it, and it was a fairly decent price because them things can get really expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet. Especially with a long name like Soapstone Farms honeybees.
Yeah, true. Yeah. It'd be easier than stenciling it on that box there like Philip's doing, I bet.
That's dedication.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Third or fourth one, it'll start running on you, I assume.
Yeah, I'm pushing. I'm gonna do the fifth one with it. We'll see how it goes.
I got one of those boxes already. All it says on it's JW. Everybody knows pretty much who JW is. Well, makes it simple on him. In fact, I called him today, but he was busy. I talked to his better half anyway. Miss Susan, we had a little chat. So
nice.
Well, give him a hard time, JW. Ask him some hard questions now that you got him on here.
Yeah,
I want to know, did you get through everything? You get all those, you got everything ready for Queens?
Yeah, I'm all ready for Queens. The thunder was rolling at me this afternoon, so I had some triple deeps that were getting too strong, and I needed to split them down. I didn't want to leave them for 4 days of rain coming, so I literally just took those 3 deeps, and they were packed, pretty much 8 to 10 frames in every box, and I just put them on 3 individual bottom boards. So I just literally just took all the wind out of their sails, and the boxes that I a better guess that the queen's going to be in, I did put a drawn deep on top of her. So she's whatever box she ended up in, she's going to have plenty of space above her, and I'll go in there and then pull those resources out from there and, cut down cells and do what I got to do. But I made the splits for all of our nuke sales. So now I'm just splitting for our own growth. And I got, there's 4 cell builders I got set up for grafting coming here in another week or 2. But I know you were mentioning you haven't seen any walking drones. We got enough drones on our frames that it takes you a minute looking for the queen. You do that quick double take just for the size difference, the worker bee. And so there's enough walking drones in our colonies that I feel comfortable enough to start grafting here within a week or 2.
So if I'm not mistaken, you was really wanting to push your colonies up this year. Is that not right, Matt? You guys are really wanting to get way up there.
Yeah, I'm just new enough. Again, this is just our 3rd season, so I've never even sold a nuke hive, and here I am making this many splits. And it's nerve-wracking, but at the same time I've found out a way to try to pay back some of this hobby and some of this money.
Good luck on that.
Yeah. I'm not break even yet, but I'm at least working myself out of the hole that I've dug.
So that's you're getting money from JW and going over and working. I see how that works out.
Yep. I haven't looked in the mailbox, but I'm sure that last paycheck's in there.
I'm sure it's a big one too.
Good for his word, so I trust him.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I'd be willing to do that. Yes, very much so. What are you thinking? $2 be too much? $1 a hive?
No, I would say, you pay me in food when I come up there every time. So that's enough for me right there, a full belly.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, I didn't even really work. So
I'm gonna tell you, you've got a little project ahead of you. If you start, are those little deals there on over your left shoulder, there behind you? Those little brown things.
Yep. Right there. Yep. Those I'm building them all in over double screen boards in a divided 10 frame box. So they're being built over parent hives right now. When I pull my splits, I pull them vertically. So that way, if I do happen to pull a queen, I know where she came from in that instance. But I'll start breaking some of those into when we actually do the sales, and I'll just transfer them.
You're just going to transfer them at sale time.
Yeah. Yep. So if I was going to build them, in those pro nukes, I'd probably cut the feeder slits on the top, and at that point, I'm giving those nukes away with the nuke sale, so that way they can do however they want to do it. I just don't want to open up any of the vents on the top for the feeders.
What's your game plan on price, Matt? If you don't mind me asking,
Yeah, so our overwinter nukes are $225, and that's going clean to we raised last fall or last year, basically. So they're over the spring nukes are going for 200. So we're getting a batch of queens with Tom and Melissa. They're bringing in some queens next Tuesday. And then we're also getting some queens from a supplier here in town. That's the first order of 21, and then the remaining are coming in with Tom. I think we're getting 35 from Tom.
Okay, nice. Excellent.
So, but yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking. You know, I've made all the final deposit calls today and kind of scheduling our approximate pickup date, you know, and letting them know it's all weather dependent. And so far, so good. I've been asked some questions to where I immediately want to refer them to a local beekeeping store and have them not only get the business, but kind of answer some of the initial questions. It's kind of interesting. You know, I don't want to sell my bees to someone who I feel like is going to fail. So I at least want to know that they're going to go in somewhat of good hands, you know, although what can you do?
Yeah.
But
I refer to the instance as the crook. You know what I'm talking about. Is that the local
that's one of the local suppliers that I'm wholesaling some nukes to. Yes.
Oh, well,
if that's the same one you're talking about.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering about. Is that the only one you got close? You got some, or have you got anything down there around closer to you than that one?
No, that's actually this store serves as a pretty central location for, you know, the greater St. Louis area. Really, there's not a whole lot of shops like that around.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I would think so. There's not that many around the country, in any one place, you know.
Yeah, that's they have a good niche in the market, so to speak, and I'm able to wholesale those nukes. So I take them her order of nukes, and then it's kind of, I just wipe my hands from it, get my money, and, you know, off to the. So that part of it's nice and clean and quick, you know, kind of like wholesaling honey, you know, I guess.
Sure.
But it's a learning experience. I know just enough to be dangerous, you know, and I'm learning every day, and look forward to continuing that, you know, making mistakes.
Yeah, he's been humble, Ricky. He's got a pretty good handle on things for he underplays his expertise. He's done a pretty good job, I'd say.
Yeah, he's definitely is. And then just remember, Matt, especially like, you know, my first year doing queen on some nukes and stuff, it's like you can't satisfy everybody. It's like, you know, someone's like, oh, you sold me a colony, and, you know, I had it for, you know, a couple of weeks, and then it swarmed out on me. It's like,
yeah,
I mean, it's just part of it. You know, I give you a good, strong colony, you know, what else can you do about it? You know? So
everyone that I spoke with today, I kind of let them know, look, I'm going to be selling you a nuke. It's going to try to make you honey this year. You're going to need to be in an 8 or 10 frame box. The evening that you get these bees, you know, you need to be planning on getting them into a bigger container. I'm not selling them a nuke that's going to swarm, but I'm going to sell them a nuke that's a week or two away from thinking about it. You know,
sure.
Just want to give them a nice nuke for their money, for sure.
Correct. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think I spent more time, especially with queens. It's like, oh, they killed that queen, you know. It's like, okay, here's another one, you know, and it's they killed a queen. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not going to do this again. This is your last shot at getting this right, you know. So
sure.
It gets some of that stuff gets pretty difficult. So.
Yep. I can see that. I appreciate your expertise and your, you know, those little tidbits that are helpful, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I'm probably a lot like you. I really try to make the customers happy, and it gets to the point where, you know, it's the third time it's like, okay, I can't do no more for you if you can't get it right. So
yeah, we deal that with in construction too. You know, we're doing custom.
See, there you go.
Paths, yeah. So there's that final punch list is always, you know, there's always some things that come up there, you know, and you walk them to the end of the line, you know, and you want their repeat business, so you're doing everything you can anyway. So
sure.
It all works out. You give everyone a good product, and they remember you for sure. Good word spread. Bad word spreads faster, you know.
That's true, 100%, no doubt about that. So,
So, what are you thinking on the nukes? Where you stand? Where you think you're gonna have them ready? When you schedule for your delivery on your wholesale nukes?
Yeah, the wholesales, we installed those queens, I want to say last Tuesday. Well, it was actually the day after I came up to visit you last, so it may have been Wednesday. I'd have to look back at my notes, but the
Yeah, I think it's the day after he was here. Yeah,
I'm letting them lay up for 3 weeks solid so I can get in there and
yeah.
check the pattern and before I get rid of them, I'm gonna make sure that they're laying it up. So same way on the next set of nukes queens with Tom. I'm gonna let them lay up. We probably won't deliver them till at least the last week of April. Weather depending, it might be first week of May. It just depends.
I think my local supply store over in Southern Indiana, they got their. I think they got their first packages scheduled. Their packages are not nukes now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're scheduled. They come out of Georgia. I think they come out of Wilbanks. Pretty sure they used to. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're supposed. I think they got them scheduled for delivery Friday. They usually have some early packages out of Wilbanks. That's down there out of. Oh, they're down there around Augusta someplace.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the name of the town or where their packages come from. One of them lives in Wisconsin, but I don't know just what the situation is. I think the ones that I knew, the older, the founding fathers, so to speak, I think they're all dead now. So I don't know the kids. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's early in the season still. We're about a month away from the black locust flow, so there's still some time for those colonies to build up. I tell you,
Matt, are you going to do any honey this year? Or are you pretty much just going to stay with the queenering process? Is that where you're at and making nukes?
we're definitely going to be doing queen rearing and grafting. Like I said, with we're setting up for the cell builders, but honey is really just going to be, I guess, a harvest from having healthy bees. And we're setting up. So when I go in and any of these splits I'm making above a double screen board, I'm getting the queen in the bottom box with 4 frames of brood. And then she's got all her foraging force, but that 4 frames of brood and the queen, I put another deep drawn comb on top of her with a frame feeder. So I run 10 frames. So it's 8 frames above her, drawn, ready to go. And then that division board feeder. And then everything above that's going to be honey. So right now we're probably around the 40 production hive mark, somewhere around there, just depending. And the rest of it's all going to be what I would consider a nuke, just something that's building that year. So
awesome.
What I'd really like to do next year is get more into selling some of the overwintered stock and not really be pulling in queens for the early nuke sales. That's kind of like a glorified package where we're able to raise those, no problem. But really my passion for it really is the queen aspect of it and making that part of the local stock as strong as possible around here. So
I really think the overwintered queens they're just so ready for spring. They've made it through that winter. That's just, I mean, you're going to pay just a little bit more, but that's such a better quality queen. I mean, that thing, she's going to be able to explode if you set her up right. So, I mean, if that's what I like to do, I've lost all mine this year, but that's always my goal. I want those overwintered queens. I know the customer is getting a very good product. She's proven, right? She's made it through winter. She's done her thing.
Yep.
You get early spring queens. Did they get mated good? Did they not get mated good? So it makes it hard. Now, where you're getting those from somewhere else, probably downstate somewhere, those queens are probably proven out. So you ain't got to worry about it as much. But for me to do queen rearing this time of year, I'm not going to get a good quality queen. It just ain't going to work out. So.
Yeah, it just comes down to time of year and timing that I have excess of bees that I need something to do with where I can't raise my own queen. So in a way, it's helping me, kind of equalize the colonies at the same time, setting them up for honey production and making nucleus hives above them for me right now. So some of our to give an idea, some of our strongest triple deeps. Now they went through winter and 3 deeps. Some of those we got 4 nukes out of. So I was pretty happy with that. So there's 8 frames of brood that I was able to pull off of them to get them back down to 4 frames in the bottom with the queen. So, I feel like they're pulling their weight at that point. So we'll see what happens, and just one day at a time.
How big's let me see your hands and your feet. How big is your hands? And they all swollen up?
I do have a bandage on one of them. I'll cut it all up.
I've been kidding you guys about being into bees and, getting all stuck up and all that. One of mine was a little feisty today with that front coming through, I guess, again. They was,
yeah.
So, you know how I operate. I don't operate too safely anyway. So I took about 8 or 10 for the cause on my hands there this morning.
Yeah, 8 or 10's enough for you to think about how you're going about stuff. I know that.
Yeah.
Enough to make you think. But yet, going through the hives yesterday, right before, I didn't realize, like you had kind of mentioned earlier, yesterday, the morning was beautiful. I figured I had all day. I didn't really look at the weather. I knew it was going to rain at some point, but I ended up getting into some of them, and I made a mistake of having some bottom frames stuck to the top deep. So when I went to crack it, a couple frames went up with it, and boy, they peppered me all the way. Our bees are gentle enough. There's a little bit of a flow right now with the red buds in full bloom that they're almost giving me the splits. I didn't even light my smoker. So I ran up to the truck. They followed me the whole way up, and we don't have bees that do that. So I kind of made them mad, JW. Like you said, getting in April 1st wasn't the smartest idea. I'm always learning. Like I'm saying, I'm always learning.
I give you guys a little bit of that April Fool crap. But that. It made a good story, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. I still believe it.
Too bad. Did you get that on video, JW? That would have made a good video too.
No, I try to get. I can't have too much evidence of all my lies. I tell so many lies that I can't have too much evidence out there where they can verify. Saucepan's already got me on permanent Google status. If I tell him something, first thing he does, him and Melissa's, they'll pop out the Google on me and fact check me. So I got to where I can't even lie anymore. But it takes all the fun out of it.
You see that, JW? Lisa's going to dock his pay.
Yeah, she found out I went in the hives April 1st. She said I can't get paid that day. So
yeah. Do you see that, JW?
JP, I haven't spent that much a day. I'm not too safety conscious. I always tell people I hate beekeeping. I hate bees, but I love getting stung. So that's the reason I do it.
Fringe benefit.
Well, folks, I think we will go ahead and shut the chat off here tonight. Philip, we appreciate you being on and showing us all the hard work, while we were all just chatting along, having a good time. And Matt, of course, it's always good having your brother. And I do appreciate those sugar bricks, man. Those did come in handy. And I think that did save a lot of my colonies. The ones that I put those on, every one of them look great. So I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Ricky. Anytime. I'm happy that it went well. I'm glad you got use of them. Sure.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Everything I stuck on, they've cleaned it to the bone. I tore off a bunch of plastic bags this morning where I finished off the winter with some of it. And I've still got some. I put a 3 on today.
Nice.
Even just as a preventative. I didn't even go down in there and see that they needed it, but I stuck it on there just in case of.
Nice. We got some cooler nights still coming, so I think we're down in the 30s this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
All right, folks, we're going to call it there. And you guys in the chat, we do appreciate you as always. It's always good to have that banner back and forth, and you guys are always incredible. And we wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you so much. And, folks, we'll see you next time.
Have a good evening, folks.
Good night, everybody.